California, who's moving up into the sweepstake races here, was second in the rated race, ran 16:34.8. So we're about to get things going here in this highly anticipated girls sweepstake race. The final race of Woodbridge Cross Country Classic for the girls is underway. And like I said, ought to be a great one. So we already mentioned the likes of Engelhardt, Mahalik, Hedengren, Leachman. There's also Peyton Godsey out of Oaks Christian. To watch for was second in this race last year with the number 2 all-time time on this course at 15:51.9. And then you look going back over to the teams, Flower Mound, Texas. They have a twin duo of Samantha Humphreys and Nicole Humphreys, both University of Oregon commits. Will run for the Rising program that Shalane Flanagan has put together over this last year. And we mentioned Buchanan being a really strong squad this year. They're led by Elle Lomeli, who was 11th last year in this race, 16:15.3. As well as Sierra Cornett, 28th last year in this race. As they come out of the shadows here, we'll see who our early leader is. See Jane Hedengren in the white top from Timpview, and then Sadie Engelhardt with her trademark gold headband right there in the middle of it. So another athlete to watch for wearing that gold and black uniform. And in fact, actually a Nike Elite Program uniform. That's Emily Wisniewski out of Crescent Valley in Oregon, who last year ran an incredibly fast time in the 5,000 on the track at Nike Outdoor Nationals. And quite possibly might be the top athlete in the entire Northwest region this year. As we see her and I believe it's Peyton Godsey. Nope, now in front, I believe is Elizabeth Leachman out of Bernie Champion out of Texas. We see Leachman, Wisniewski, Engelhardt in the middle right there. And there's Peyton Godsey on the outside with the maroon top. Leachman just a sophomore, some freshman national record holder in the 2-mile after a historic race last year at Nike Outdoor Nationals. 9:57.65, the first freshman ever to dip under the 10-minute barrier. And an interesting story about her dealt with a lot of injuries this last fall as a freshman. Was trying to figure out some ways to make everything better, perhaps make these nagging injuries go away. Well, it turns out her favorite athlete she looks up to at the collegiate ranks, Parker Valby. Parker Valby, of course, one of the top athletes from the University of Florida, NCAA champion in the 5,000 this last spring. Parker Valby cross-trains a lot. So what better way to get better? Cross-train. And so Leachman is limited to about 25, 30 miles a week and roughly does 5 to 6 hours of intense cross-training, and has helped her immensely on the cross-country course as well as the track. She opened up just this last week, 15:55 for a 3-mile in Texas. Didn't qualify for NXN last year, but is definitely going to be in the mix for it next year. As they go through the first mile, 5:08, Leachman in the lead, and it's followed by Emily Wisniewski, 5:10.9. Another athlete that's making a jump up as well from the rated to the sweepstakes race, Joanna Lapizzo out of La Costa Canyon. Another rising star, had herself a great junior campaign. So Leachman, Wisniewski, Lapizzo, then Peyton Godsey. Rylee Blade out of Santiago in the mix. Jane Hedengren in 6th, and the reigning champion Sadie Engelhardt is in 7th. And while we do talk about fast times on this course, because it is an incredibly fast race, a lot of state course records are up for grabs tonight as well. With Leachman being from the state of Texas, the state of Texas course record is 15:56 by none other than Natalie Cook. And that was back in 2018. So Leachman, of course, one of those athletes trying to see if she can break that barrier and set a new standard in the Lone Star State. Utah, Jane Hedengren in the lineup. The state course record 16:11.19 by Julie Moore of Mountain View. And that was just this last year. Colorado, talked about Air Academy, talked about Bethany Mahalik. That time to beat 15:53.6. As the girls now make their way down this straightaway. And Leachman, followed by the rest of the pack. You can see Jane Hedengren in the white top from Timpview on the left, sitting right next to Rylee Blade out of Santiago. Elizabeth Leachman was a late addition to this race. When I talked to her coach, Jonathan Tate, not too long ago, I asked, are you guys going to be traveling outside of the state of Texas? His answer, no. So for some reason, there was a bit of a change at heart, and they decided, let's send Leachman out to Woodbridge Classic and have her race some of the best competition this country has to offer. We talked about the individuals. After 1 mile, our number 2 ranked team in the country currently sits in 3rd. That's Buchanan. Of course, this is all unofficial. They currently sit in 3rd at 237 points. The team in 1st, number 8, Jay Sarah with 198 points. And it's South Lake Carroll out of Texas in 2nd. So a bit of a surprise here in the early goings of this race, but again, cross country, it's a long race. Anything can happen. Lots of things change over time. So perhaps we'll see some mix-up like we did in the boys' race with Austin Vandergriff trying to make their way up into that first position for those last 2 miles. So Leachman, and now we have Hedengren right on her tail. So Texas versus Utah. We get going here into the 2nd mile. Hedengren, number 2 in the DieStat rankings. had herself an incredible sophomore campaign, was the Brooks PR champion in the mile, which was outstanding during postseason racing this last spring. So it's Leachman, Hedengren. In third, it's Mahalik, Engelhardt. Then there's Hanne Thomsen in the maroon from Montgomery. So the top racing pack all over the entire country. Again, just like NXN, it seems like, with this field being historically deep.
The largest high school cross-country invitational in the country, 7 years running.
So coming up on the 2-mile mark here.
Cross-country classic presented by ASICS here at Great Park in Irvine.
Obviously a very quick first mile. Let's see what it looks like with Leachman and Hedengren. So Leachman, Hedengren, Mahalik, Engelhardt, then Blade, and then Thomsen in that top 6. With Wisniewski in 7th right there in the gold and black top. So as they make the turn through the 2-mile, Leachman in the lead, 10:46.2 through the 2-mile, 5:38 on that last mile. Hedengren right behind her. And then Engelhardt now moving up into 3rd, 5:36 for that last mile for her. As the race will start to pick up here pretty soon with under a mile to go. So Leachman, Hedengren, Engelhardt, followed by Mahalik, Blade, Thomsen, Wisniewski. And then Rose Vandeveld out of South Pasadena. She's into that top 8. But a gutsy effort so far by Elizabeth Leachman, just a sophomore from Boerne, Texas. And if able to pull off this victory, would arguably be one of the biggest wins she's had in her young career. But of course, racing up against veteran talents in the likes of Hedengren, Engelhardt, Mahalik being the senior, Blade as well. And then there's Thomsen. Thomsen was a huge story last year. Went up to Nike Portland XC. Was talked a lot about down in California. Did not know what to expect going up to Nike Portland. Crushes that race. Runs in the mid-16s. And then goes on to be an All-American in cross country, as well as indoor nationals and outdoor nationals. So the top 6 well within with each other. About a 2-second spread. And looking at course records, time to beat 15:42 by Engelhardt last year. I believe it was only 2 athletes last year that broke 16. Question is, how many can we get to break 16 this year? So we're less than half a mile to go. And arguably one of the biggest races of the early season here. So 6 girls have separated themselves, with Wisniewski now in no man's land, followed by Vandeveld, Gianna Lopizzo, and Holly Barker of Trabuco Hills. And from the team standings, Air Academy now into first with 181 after the 2-mile. Oaks Christian in second with 220. Jay Sarah, 250 in third. As the pace ramps up here, Leachman, Hedengren, Engelhardt trying to find another gear to see if she can make her way up to those top 2. Now Thomsen into 4th.
Leachman, and right there on her shoulder, Hedengren. In case you're wondering, Leachman's gone 4-4.
Elizabeth Leachman trying to pull away here, see if she can get away from Hedengren over this final stretch, running this race, as I said, gutsy as ever.
So she definitely has the wheels here. Keeping contact.
So sophomore versus junior, both rising stars last year during the spring, ran against each other in that Nike Outdoor Nationals 2 mile with Hedengren taking the win. Leachman was in the top 5 as well.
Now making the move.
As they make their way over to the final stretch. It is Leachman and Hedengren.
Still Leachman and Hedengren. At 14.
And it's Leachman trying to pull away now.
Leachman doing the work. You get the sense Hedengren is sizing
A
up.
big upset in the making right here. We'll see how the finish unfolds. And it's Leachman down the home stretch right now. Leachman and Hedengren, shoulder to shoulder.
The home straight.
Leachman and Hedengren. Hedengren with the lead now.
Looks like
It's Tipview versus Bernie Champion. Who's it going to be across the line?
it's going to be very tight. May have been Hedengren, the taller of the two.
Close call right there.
So right down the final stride. Trying to separate those two.
An incredibly fast race. Too close to call. We'll see with the results trickling in.
What a race individually.
We had 7 girls under 16 minutes, and it was Jane Hedengren with the win, 15:32.5. What a statement for the junior from Tipview in Utah in her first appearance at Woodbridge.
Unofficially got Jane Hedengren right at the tape.
15:32.5 to edge out Elizabeth Leachman, 15:32.6. What a race to the end right there, folks.
All under 16 minutes. Just amazing individual.
Well under
Indeed.
the course record held by Engelhardt, who finishes 3rd in 15:37. So a nice personal best for her,
Over 3.
but a massive upset
Absolutely incredible.
from Jane Hedengren, as well as the likes of Elizabeth Leachman. She's letting the country know she is here and she is fast.
Sadie Engelhardt, third. Ventura, 15:37.4. Rylee Blade, Santiago, flows very well.
So 7 girls in total
42.
under that 16 barrier.
15:48.
Hedengren, Leachman, Engelhardt, Rylee Blade at 15:42. Hanne Thomsen at 15:48. Bethany Mahalik at 15:52.2. Emily Wisniewski at 15:56.8. And in fact, an 8th athlete for that matter, Kiara Daly out of La Jolla, 15:58.6.
Kiara Daly, 16:003.
And as the team standings come through, unofficially Air Academy pulling off the upset over Buchanan.
Girls in the shoot.
So Air Academy upsets Buchanan
With 5 in.
with unofficially 127. Jay Sarah finishes in 223. They also pull the upset over Buchanan.
Safely ahead of Jay Sarah and then Buchanan.
But the story of this race, Jane Hedengren and Elizabeth Leachman. What a battle to the end right there in the individual race from the junior out of Tipview and then the sophomore from Bernie Champion.
Including 2 from Texas. South Lake Carroll, 4th, and the Woodlands in 5th. Dana Hills.
So as we see unofficially Air Academy out of Colorado, your champion of the girls sweepstake race here at Woodbridge.
As we have more and more teams and 5 runners in the shoot to complete their scoring and factor into scoring. We now have 16 teams with
As good as a race that was, the boys' race will be
a total of 35
just as good or better.
more score changes
Exciting one between
on top.
2 top teams
Air Academy
in Harriman and South Lake Carroll as we get underway. The final race of the 2023 Woodbridge Cross Country Classic.
out of North Carolina, 5th. South Lake Carroll, Texas, 6th.
Looking at last year's race, A record 6 athletes broke the 14-minute barrier thanks to Tyrone Gorsey out of Crater leading the way, running 13:39. Excuse me, 13:42 was the top mark in that time. The top overall time in the Woodbridge history, 13:38, held by Leo Young in 2021. Similar to the girls' race, no one has eclipsed the 14-minute barrier twice in their return to Woodbridge. And athletes looking to accomplish that are both Jason Para of Long Beach Milliken and Tyrone Gorsey's former teammate Josiah Tossison from Crater. Anthony Fast Horse out front for Ventura early on. As you see the long hair, the arm sleeve, and the white top. Herman, South Lake Carroll, Crater, Ventura, Trabuco Hills, San Clemente, and then you also add next Dana Hills and Miracosta. 8 teams in the DieStat Top 40 rankings. It's also a nice little homecoming for Coach Doug Souls, who's been now at Harriman for the last few years, was the former coach at Gray Oak here in California. Accomplished something that has never been done in the stakes race history for a team outside of the state of California. Those remember, Harriman won this race last year, looking to repeat and become the first non-California school to go back-to-back in the sweepstake races. When he was at Gray Oak, they went sweepstake titles in back-to-back seasons twice, 2014, 2015, and then again in 2017 and 18.